Times now has also confronted Robert Vadra and posed some questions to him on the basis of the developments that are coming in from the Westminster court. Clearly, of course, there is going to be a renewed attack on Robert Vadra given his alleged links with Sanjay Bhandari. And let's listen into the questions that Times Now's reporter Akanksha has posed to Robert Vadra.
Varda, what do you have to say? Sanjay Bhandari will be brought back to India. Robert Vadra, Sanjay Bhandari will be brought back to India.
Madam, Bhandari is going to be extradited.
What do you have to say? Varda, what do you have to say? Sanjay Bhandari will be brought back to India. Robert Vadra, Sanjay Bhandari will be brought back to India.
Madam, Bhandari is going to be extradited.
What do you have to say? Varda, what do you have to say? Sanjay Bhandari will be brought back to India. Robert Vadra, Sanjay Bhandari will be brought back to India.
Madam, Bhandari is going to be extradited.
What do you have to say? Varda, what do you have to say? Sanjay Bhandari will be brought back to India. Robert Vadra, Sanjay Bhandari will be brought back to India.
Madam, Bhandari is going to be extradited.
What do you have to say? Varda, what do you have to say? Sanjay Bhandari will be brought back to India.
Well, let me immediately go across to my colleague Akanksha Khajuria, who in fact tried to confront Robert Vadra as he was exiting his residence. Take us through that entire sequence, Akanksha, where you sought to ask questions of Robert Vadra that he conveniently evaded.
Well, absolutely. Times confronted Robert Vadra, who's the brother-in-law of Congress leader Rahul Gandhi. We tried to pose tough questions to him, but he evaded these questions and drove off quickly. Just before he was about to come out of his house, his security guards actually pushed us away, asked us not to ask any questions to him. Before that, we sought his permission to answer questions related to the extradition of Sanjay Bhandari, but he refused to speak to media on this. When we confronted him, he drove off. He refused to talk to us and even evaded these tough questions. Now remember, agencies have established links between Robert Vadra and Sanjay Bhandari, and these are some of the questions that we will have to answer. And now that Sanjay Bhandari will be brought back to India, these are some of the questions that he definitely has to answer. But when we put forth those questions in front of him, he evaded those. He refused to answer to us. He drove off quickly. In fact, his security personnel, as you can also see in the video, tried to push us away, asking us not to ask him any questions at all.
Absolutely, Akanksha. In fact, good work to try to, in fact, get to him. He was evasive. Let's see that complete sequence once again, where Robert Vadra evaded Times Now's direct questions.
Robert Vadra, Sanjay Bhandari will be brought back to India.
Madam, Bhandari is going to be extradited.
What do you have to say? Varda, what do you have to say? Sanjay Bhandari will be brought back to India. Robert Vadra, Sanjay Bhandari will be brought back to India.
Madam, Bhandari is going to be extradited.
What do you have to say? Varda, what do you have to say? Sanjay Bhandari will be brought back to India. Robert Vadra, Sanjay Bhandari will be brought back to India.
Madam, Bhandari is going to be extradited.
What do you have to say? Varda, what do you have to say?
So Robert Vadra evasive here in India, but Prithween is of course taking us through the judgment of the Westminster court, which has agreed to the extradition of Sanjay Bhandari back to India. Prithween, take us through some of the operative portions.
Absolutely. I've quickly moved to the latter half of this particular order copy now. Siddharth, if we talk about this is the 104th page. So towards the end of this order copy, now remember this is a 107-page long order copy, which Times now has accessed. The issue 8 speaks of abuse of process. Point 298 says there's a presumption of good faith in all extradition cases, particularly where the requesting state has a long history of respect for democracy, human rights and the rule of law, and has long-standing extradition arrangements with the United Kingdom. So that's the fair share of agreement that is being highlighted there. If I thereafter scroll down and I speak of this particular point, has the conduct alleged to constitute the abuse must be identified with particularity. It says this challenge is founded on decision of the adjudicating authority on 17 November 2017 to discharge what is in effect the restraining order. Thereafter, we talk about is the conduct, if established, capable of amounting to abuse of process. I am satisfied that it would amount to an abuse of process for the government to seek extradition where the finding of a court or tribunal prevents the persecution of the defendant. So very important point there. And straight away I'll go across to the last bit, the ruling, that is the last bit on page number 107. It says, as I'm satisfied that extradition is compatible with the defendant's convention rights, I must send this case to the Secretary of State for a decision as to whether the defendant is to be extradited. However, I only do so on the basis of the assurances that have been provided by the government. Now, time and again, Danish has also told us on ground that this has been the emphasis all throughout of the court, that this is only on the basis of the assurances that have been provided by the government of India.
Many thanks for taking us through that, Kritsveen. Once again, let's listen into the entire sequence where Akanksha tried to, in fact, confront Robert Vadra about Sanjay Bhandari's extradition and asked him some pointed questions which he evaded.
He is going to be extradited.
What do you have to say? Varda, what do you have to say? Sanjay Bhandari will be brought back to India. Robert Vadra, Sanjay Bhandari will be brought back to India.
Sanjay Bhandari is going to be extradited.
What do you have to say? Varda, what do you have to say? Sanjay Bhandari will be brought back to India. Robert Vadra, Sanjay Bhandari will be brought back to India.
Sanjay Bhandari is going to be extradited.
What do you have to say? Varda, what do you have to say? Sanjay Bhandari will be brought back to India.
Let me go across to Danish Khan, who's bringing us all the updates from the Westminster Court in London. Danish, you've been covering this matter for a very long time now. The hearings in this entire case began in the month of March, though Mr. Bhandari has been under custody since 2020. Tell us about some of the objections that he'd raised, his own submissions that have been overruled by the court, because that's absolutely critical in ensuring a victory for the submissions made by our own authorities, including the ED, against him.
Yes, absolutely. So he was arrested on 2 occasions. On both occasions, he managed to get bail on some very strict conditions. The court here set out a bail amount that he had to deposit, and then, of course, he had to also submit his travel documents. He was debarred from moving outside the jurisdiction of England. He had to report to a police station as well. He was tagged. So all those measures were put in place to ensure that that Sanjay Bhandari does not escape. The trial took some time, but it came out, and as we have been reporting all this while, Sanjay Bhandari's attempt to frustrate India's attempt to have him extradited failed, because the court here said that the assurances that the government of India has given passed the test, and that they will ensure, the assurances given by the government of India will ensure that his human rights will not be breached. But that itself was a separate set of arguments that took place in the Westminster Magistrate Court, because a lot of emphasis is placed on the human rights of the requested person. And inevitably, all the requested persons make that argument, because it is also a way to come out of the legal hole in which they find themselves. But as the judgment says, the very last point where District Judge Snow says that the assurances provided by the government of India will ensure that Sanjay Bhandari's human rights will not be breached. And that was the clinching thing in India's favor, because prima facie case was clearly made out. The court was given documents and details about the whole chronology. We get a glimpse of that in the judgment, but
yes,
mind you, when we sit through the trial, it's like reams and reams of documents and details that is fed to the judge. A very small part, a very small chunk of that supporting
Absolutely,
the
Danish,
government.
and this could still be a long, drawn-out legal battle. Sanjay Bhandari is expected to approach the higher courts against the extradition order issued by the Westminster Court. Let's also listen in to what the former Rajya Sabha Member of Parliament, Mr. Subramanian Swamy, had to say about the latest developments in the UK.
Well, it's a good thing that the matter is continuing, and that at least even in the first round it's a big thing, that because that's where the evidence is fully assessed, and now all that will be looked at is whether he got a fair legal trial. That is for all that is left, and there is hope that one of these days we bring him. But then, once he starts talking, then the people who have been complicit with him in all this crime, they should also be prosecuted. No, there's no doubt to see that that the Mr. Vadra and the other members of the Sonia Gandhi family, they own a vast amount of properties. I myself have brought out in. I see that this is a place, when people in high places are not prosecuted, it demoralizes the public.